Stocks in Asia are more than interesting currently, especially the Nikkei 225, the Japanese index, was leading high strongly. But now in a break, let's have a closer look what this market is telling us. And on the other side, the Chinese market, of course, the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, under pressure from the real estate problems in China. So we want to have a closer look what the market participants are doing currently. Shall we expect something more strongly to one or the other direction? So let's have a closer look. Stay with me and we will see. So as I mentioned before, let's check the charts. Why the charts are not the news? Because me as a trader, I'm more interested in what the market is really doing and not what the market should do. So for that, I'm just asking all the market participants, what are you doing now? Are you in a good mood? Are you willing to buy? Are you in panic maybe? Or what is your intention at the market? And to have real answer on that, it is best to check the charts, because this is what the market participants have done so far. And I can read something out of this. So let's start, let's say with the Nikkei 225, the best situation was here. So let's check what the market really is doing. So what did we have here? You could see one of our past drawings here in the weekly chart. You could see that the market is strongly regaining here after the setback we've seen here, the corrective pattern here. It is in a daily chart, a back forth, back forth, back forth. So really a corrective pattern what we've seen here. So nothing really new on this part of the chart. You could easily see that we were overshooting not only the trend channel, overshooting the last intermediate highs. So, and even the highest point here. So we have been in a really strong situation here. And this is really typical. Very often I'm telling you, don't buy at the highest points. Try to buy at an intermediate high. For example, if you have something like this, an ABC pattern, try to buy here, not at this level. Why? Because very often at that point, at the very high, when the market is overshooting the old high, you can see it here, the market is coming down afterwards. Not necessarily strongly, not necessarily forever, but this is a very typical thing, that an overshoot over highest price levels, especially after such a strong move we've seen here before, leads us into a corrective pause like seen here. And you could see it here in a 4-hourly chart even clearer. We could see that we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 wave pattern here to the upside, which is quite typical for a strong bull market and normally comes with a corrective pattern afterwards. So that's exactly what we're expecting here. And you could see I was drawing here some lines already. Let's start it from the scratch. So you could see this is the lowest point here, this is the highest point, and what you get here are the Fibonacci levels. 38.2 is a very typical one, 50%, 61.8, and some others a little bit lower. So these lines are not magic. Of course, very often you can see that the market is pinpointing, reaching this level, turning around and saying, hey, this is a wonderful level here. So it is awesome how often this occurs. However, this is not a given situation. It is for me, first of all, to indicate an area. So area around these levels here. These are typical target areas for setbacks. We can have some more details here after an impulsive move. Something like this. You could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You will get some second wave backwards. And we can see how far this back move normally goes. So we have some statistics on that. I have an extra video on this, so if you want to see more details about this, you can check this out. But to give you the information here in a brief, you could see the second wave, the corrective pattern, normally comes back somewhere in the area 20%, 60 and a little bit percent. So this is the most typical area where the market is reaching. But normally I'm always saying 38% to 61%, a little bit higher. Let's say 35 is also okay, somewhere around here. But clearly you could see this is also in the red, so this is also a very typical situation. Yes, indeed it is. Unfortunately, if the market is only coming down 30% or let's say 25%, which is here, still within this red area, but in this case, the chance of something more coming down more strongly into 30, 40, 50%, for example, the probability is way higher. So this is not a good situation to buy at that point typically. And the second thing is, the second wave here, what kind of pattern shall we expect normally? We can have some percentages here on the second wave. This is the second wave of a stock's rising market here, and you can see in a rising market, the second wave should be something like a zigzag, which is an ABC pattern, a double zigzag, which normally looks quite similar to this, only the internal structure is a little bit different. This is not a high probability with a triple zigzag here. We have a flat situation as well and a double sideways, which is quite similar to the flat. So we can suggest it's an ABC pattern, a three-wave pattern, what we should expect in this case. And it should be something more or less steep if it's a zigzag or double zigzag, or more to the sideways if it's a flat or double sideways. So let's check what the market gave us so far. What we had here, is this a ABC pattern? Well, if this is the case, yes, it could be, but we have a very long C pattern here. So this is not my best idea for this market movement here. I would suggest something like a first wave in this case, and expecting that the market is coming down in a second part again. So I'm not thinking that this is the complete corrective pattern already. I would prefer to see something like another movement down to the downside here. But to be honest, it is still possible that this is something like a first ABC here, a second ABC here, and something in between. So it could be a double zigzag situation here, which is more or less reached the area here. We can draw it a little bit like this. It is possible. It is low enough to be the whole corrective pattern here, so that we can expect something gaining and gaining and gaining and continuing in the same way like we've seen here before in the daily chart. You could see, you can estimate if this is the case, if this is the complete corrective pattern already, we could expect something leading us higher to way above 33,000 if this is the start already. Unfortunately, it is still very typical that the market needs to go a little bit lower, because this is the very upper side of this area here. So I would prefer to see something like this. I'm not absolutely sure whether this looks like this, or maybe coming up a little bit higher and then like a sidewave correction. This is both possible. It's still both possible, unfortunately. So we cannot sort it out which will occur first. But I would suggest to see something like this and afterwards buying the market. So I'm not willing to buy this current market setback here. I would like to see a second part here. And if you see something like this, you could easily see if it's an ABC pattern or something like this. You have an intermediate high, and you can buy at that very point here, which is roughly 30,000 and a little bit, and expect something 33,000 here. So it's enough space to the upside, even if you miss the first opportunity or the lowest point here. Maybe later when we have something like a cluster, some levels here on a very nearly at the same level, let's say it like this here, for example, 38.2 level, for example. So if the market is coming down here, then we might have a chance to buy at that point. But this is too early, because we need to see the market on a second move down here before we can estimate where this cluster is. The other thing is, when the market is giving us some ABC pattern, we can of course use the intermediate high, the B pattern, let's say the B wave here, A, B, the top of the B wave, for an entry to buy the market long. So far, so easy and so good. But what will happen when the market is not coming down? If the market is not giving us this pattern, if the market is continually moving to the upside, in this case, we will miss out the chance to buy lower or at the B pattern here. in this case, we definitely need something like a setback, let's say even a smaller one. You could see here on the hourly chart, you could see a first move to the upside, an ABC to the downside, and also here you could see something leading us to higher grounds here from that level. So a similar pattern can occur here in the next one. If you can see something like this, strong move to the upside, ABC in the next few days downside, you can jump into the market and say, okay, maybe we will not see this part of the market, so I can enter the market on this way here, stopping in the normal behavior 78.6 level, for example, for a stop. You can trail the stop, of course. If the market is leading us higher, you can stay in the position and keep it running until 33,000 or maybe even higher. We will see that. So these are the two approaches we can do with the Nikkei 225. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure which one will occur, but the good thing is, as a trader, I always have an idea how to handle it, how to deal the situation. So if you have one of these here, we can enter here on a cluster level when several market levels will be obvious, maybe around this level here or a little bit lower. Or we can have the ABC pattern entering the market at the B point, or if not coming down, if the market is only heading up now, giving us some smaller setbacks here, we can enter after these smaller setbacks. But the good thing is, as well, like we've seen before, ABC, take this one as a trigger, expect minimum movement, something like this. And then you can stay in the market, trail the stop onto your entry and just wait what happens, because otherwise when the market is plunging you will be stopped out near your entry, so nothing to fear in this case. So good news, to be honest, with the Nikkei 225, the market is leading us higher, and it seems that this is not the end. The only question is, will we have to wait a little bit longer before the market will continue, or can we just jump into the market? But all indications are that the market is leading us higher even than what we've seen before. So what is Shanghai saying? The Shanghai Composite Index gave us some strong idea of a bull market here at the very beginning. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the very beginning, an ABC pattern here on the downside. You could enter the market here. We were talking about this in the past. Maybe you remember that. And in this case, you could expect that this minimum will come again. And of course, we got this and even a little bit higher than that. So after that, the market came down, of course, quite strongly because of the situation with Evergrande and other things in China. So the market came down, but also in this case, it looks a little bit more like an ABC pattern, a corrective pattern. Unfortunately, quite steep. I normally like to have something a little bit more shaky to the downside to be to have a confirmation that this is really the weak side. But on the other side, what we've seen here so far is definitely not an impulsive move, especially after this strong recovery we've seen after this cluster here, which is made out of a Fibonacci retracement and similar sized setbacks. You could measure this one, for example, the same size like the green line here. So this was absolutely rock solid as a cluster, and you could easily understand there's a chance that the market will turn around. We don't want to see anything lower than these levels here, because this would mean something like an overshooting, some kind of overlapping, which would definitely indicate that the bull market is not in the best situation, so that we can expect something to the downside. But in this case, it is clearly still bullish because the market was still over that levels here. So everything seems to be okay. Going to a lower time frame even indicates that we are in a really good situation, because this is also something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the same like we've seen here before. The same here. This one, this part here is exactly what we've seen here. And after that we have something like an ABC pattern. And from my drawing already you can see we have something like an intermediate high here as well. Something like an ABC pattern. And when the market really is going through this level here, we could expect that the market at least will continue to the upside. I'm not sure the market will do that. The good thing is If the market is not going to the upside, we will not go long because the market is not pushing through this level. But if the market is pushing through this level here, we have a long position leading us at least to that level, 3,700 and nearly 20, with chances that we have another 5-wave structure to the upside. So with a little bit of fantasy, you can imagine something like this, this, and this is exactly what we can expect here. Again, this, this, and this. So we would have an overall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave pattern as well, which is, you might remember, a very typical trend movement. First one, 5-wave, setback, another strong move, 5-wave, setback, and another 5-wave setback. But you can see this ends after 5. Internally after the 5th wave, and the overall pattern after the 5th wave. So when reaching this level here, we should expect some setback on a bigger size. So not the same size like this or that. It needs to be something a little bit bigger than that. And if this occurs, we have another chance to enter the market. So we have this on a lower time frame now for all the fans of the intraday charts, for example, or for all of us who wants to at least check the intraday charts for entry points. On the other side, if this really occurs and we have something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave pattern followed, which is absolutely unclear right now, but if something like this occurs after that, it's exactly being here on that part, expecting that the market will move upwards. So this might be the next entry point. So you have some trading idea now for a lower time frame. You may enter the market on the bull side here when breaking through this level, 3,650 roughly. Please check on your own chart. This is an index, not a tradable thing. But if you have a CFD, for example, a future or any other contract, you can think of entering the market after breaking the September 24th highs here. The time you can see below the charts, unfortunately, are the European times here, German time currently. So please translate this to your preferred time zone. But you can easily find this pattern from following your own charts, I guess. So good idea, a good long idea also for the Shanghai Composite. The situation is quite good here. Nothing to worry currently, only when the market is breaking through this level. And subsequently is breaking through this level, the bull market seems to be over. This might be a tough situation for the bull market when breaking through this level. We have an early warning indication when the market is going below this level, the 78.6, which is normally named by us as a last line of defensive. When the market is going through this level here as well, which is roughly 3,585, and the market is breaking this level, then it does not look very good. It's still okay, it's still valid as long as the market is not going below this level here, the lowest point here in 22nd of September. As long everything is okay, but it should turn soon. And we have a good situation here because I think we have some kind of good, let's check it like this as well. You can see we have some kind of a cluster around that level anyway. Here the one-on-one projection as well, and maybe something like an not very nice, something like a extension level here as well. So we can kill this and this level because we have been through this. We have another one roughly around this 61.8 level here, but roughly around here everything is okay. When the market is following up through this, crushing through this level here, we can expect something more to the higher end, and we can expect a continuation into this picture here as well. Where are the targets for this? How can you measure this? Normally we can easily see it is typically, not necessarily exactly, but typically something similar to the first wave. So if this is the first wave here, we can think about targeting this level here, which is roughly 3,800, and we can also check the first until the third wave, including that. And you can see this level is way too low. It's even below that point, so we can kill this. This is not the very typical one. So this is the area 38 3,800, in this case 3,800, is a very nice level as a target. Maybe the extension will also give us some indication for that. So I would suggest this level here, this area is the target level. If the market is breaking this level here, then we could expect something around here, that levels. So it's still in a good mood. The market is still in a good mood. Nothing to fear so far, but you know already when the market is breaking through these levels here, something is not working well. So what about the Hang Seng? The Hang Seng is the Hong Kong stock index, and this is really important because Evergrande, the real estate market in China, is currently named just by Evergrande. Of course, there are many companies currently in trouble, but Evergrande is in deep trouble and is listed in the Hang Seng. We have seen some great gains in the last week, some in between something like a 30% plus profits or gaining stocks in this case. But the market came down a little bit, so it's not in a perfect situation, and it is still not proving real strength. You could see that the last movement here, this seems to be more like a 5-wave pattern to the downside. This is completely different from Nikkei, and it's completely different from the Shanghai index. It is really strong to the downside. On the other side, we have overlapping situations here to the upside, overlapping situation here to the upside. So this is really typical to this, for the corrective pattern here for the upside, and strong to the downside, strong to the downside. Currently, it's not absolutely clear. We have quite a chance that this is also something like an ABC pattern. But to be honest, the first part here is also looking more than ABC than anything else. So it's absolutely unclear what this market is doing. Maybe we have a chance when the market is breaking through this level that we at least see some gaining situation here. For example, something like this. Again here, maybe this is too high, but roughly this area, a little bit lower, maybe somewhere around here. It is possible when the market is breaking through this level here, but I see a higher chance that this market is not able to do so. And also in this case, when the market is continuing to the downside, breaking through the next lower level, which is 23,000, no, let's say 24,000. It's easy to remember. If the market, the index is breaking through this level, we have a good chance that the bullish idea for this market is killed already, and we will see some follow-up lows here in subsequently. So the situation here is quite different. You could see that the Nikkei is in a really good situation, waiting for some setbacks. You could see that the Shanghai index is at least in a good position for the next run to the upside, and the Hang Seng is completely on the other side. So we all don't know what is happening next. So it's not a recommendation to trade this. It is a recommendation to see the market, to approach the market like I've said before. And you can see these levels are indicating, this is the next to do, this is the next I should expect, or this is the next I need to take into account and trail my stops, or keep my position closed, or closing my position, or keep it in low profile, so with a small position size maybe, or something like this. So I cross my fingers that you can use all this and for your own trading success. Hopefully you'll be successful in the next few days. Seeing you soon on this channel. I would appreciate any thumbs up in this case, and of course please subscribe and follow me in the future.